Hello, I'm Derek Johnston, and this is Q&A, the exciting new show where we're polling the student body on questions that may or may not have any relevance whatsoever. I'm joined today by Adam Nye. This week we polled the student body on questions relating body proportions and hallways. So we'll start with 2/3 legs and 2/3 torso. We asked the students whether they would rather be 2/3 legs or 2/3 torso. What did you find?
Well, from the people I found, there was an overwhelming majority, and this was our only real quantitative question. I mean, you could really say it's either this or it's that. It's either legs or it's torso, and what I found overwhelmingly was legs.
Yes.
And I don't know if that was what you found.
Yeah, definitely.
In all the people I found, three only who went with torso.
I only had one.
You only had one. Well, because it was, the minority, I made sure to check out why they chose torso. Mm-hmm. So I asked that of two people, and one of the people said, I don't know. So they didn't know why they chose torso. So maybe they were mind control, I don't know. But second person said, well, I'm already 2/3 torso. So that was their reason. They just liked the status quo. What did you find for yours?
Actually, the one person that said torso was because they were a swimmer. And apparently, I'm not a swimmer personally, but they said that would actually help them.
To be longer like a dolphin?
I guess, yeah, like a dolphin.
Animals. Okay. So
but definitely for legs, I definitely got mostly because they wanted to be running.
Yeah. Well, I feel also, for my personal style, if I've got huge legs, I can just wear high-waisted pants.
True. It's much harder to find.
Yeah, if you've got a super long torso, then either you're accidentally wearing a bunch of crop tops, or you gotta wear a dress all the time, and it's for casual occasions, really?
Yeah.
Well,
our next question was the floor question, and we'll be right back with that one. Welcome back. Now we're talking about the question on the floors of RB. We asked students what, if anything, if they could change the floor of RB to any material, what material they would change it to. I found that a lot of people, what really surprised me was there was either people that wanted fun, there was people that wanted it to be food, and there was people that wanted it to be nice looking.
I found similar things. One recurring answer, I didn't have too many that popped up multiple times, but trampoline.
Yes,
trampoline
definitely. I got multiple trampolines.
I personally have safety concerns because I'm an old man. But, trampoline, I can see where you're going. You just have a bunch of springs. You can elbow people in the face.
Well, yeah, it's like that place. Have you ever been to the Extreme Trampolines place where it's a giant warehouse of trampolines?
The problem there's a paperwork because if you
That's
get
true,
injured at Extreme Trampoline.
Imagine writing a waiver to go to school. That's a little weird.
Well, I think we do that, but that's for other stuff.
Yeah,
We'd have to have
true.
more if we had trampoline floors. But I did find a couple food. I found one person said Jell-O. What was your food? What did you get?
I had cotton candy was one.
Ooh.
I had Jell-O was another one.
Okay, you got Jell-O.
So I also got Jell-O. And then someone said soup. I don't know what they were thinking, but they said soup.
How deep a layer of soup would this be on the floors of RB?
I don't know. When I imagined a couple feet of soup as a floor.
Because the person who said soup, if you time it right, there may be soup on the floors of RB, just not much of it.
That's
just
true,
little,
yeah.
I don't know, there's always, but I did get some fancy ones.
Yeah.
I had polished tungsten.
Oh.
Some inlaid marble.
That would look very nice.
One person, and I found this really funny, just said tile.
Isn't that what we already have?
The floors are already
Pretty sure that's what we already
tile.
have.
So I thought that was an interesting answer to that question. Apparently they like the current floors.
Okay. But maybe just slightly fancier tile, not like the
fancier?
linoleum tile.
One person said aqua sand. That was a fun one.
What is aqua sand?
Isn't it? It melts down, but then when you're actually packing it in, it'll do. I I never got to play with those things. It would have
It's
dirtied
basically
our
like
furniture,
sand,
you know?
but it's like Play-Doh, but sand, right?
Ooh, another fancy one. Somebody said quartz.
Ooh, that would be nice and.
A nice, sunlight effect.
I had a couple of people say like wooden floors, like hardwood.
Wooden floors, hardwood. If I was personally doing it, I would choose specifically the hardwood that they've got in museums. When you've really got it dampens the sound because passing periods are loud.
It's true.
So I think that would really calm
be
things
nice.
down a little bit.
Well, I think that those three definitely define those three things: the food, the nice, and then the fun.
Yeah.
Were definitely the three that highlighted what people thought.
Makes sense. I mean, those are the three major elements of the educational experience.
Yeah. Well, we'll be right back with the catchphrase question that we had right after this. Hello, and welcome back to Q&A. Right now we're talking about a catchphrase. If you had to have a catchphrase before and or after everything you said.
What would it be?
Well, I think I had a lot of people say just like single word ones, like all right or okay or things like that.
All right.
Yeah.
I think that makes a lot of sense because if you're going to be saying it after everything or before everything, you don't want it to be the length of a sentence because then you're saying a sentence before or after every sentence, and then
Yeah, and then everything you say starts to get longer and longer and longer.
I also had a number of, just one-word ones, and more at the beginning of the sentence than at the end.
Definitely, yeah.
I got a lot of sorry, but, listen, decidedly, truly, blah, blah, blah,
Yeah,
stuff
I got
like that.
a couple at the end, like ones like right, or things like that, like just little end things that people kind of say, some people just say anyway.
Yeah.
In sentences, maybe not all the time, but that wouldn't be totally out of place at the end of every sentence.
One trend I didn't predict with this one, because I just did the groupings. There were a lot of people who had, when they're doing comic book violence and you've got sort of the pow. There were answers.
Really?
One person wanted to say pow at the end of every sentence. One person wanted to say zam, boom. I'm gonna out that was actually Mr. Denny. Mr. Denny said boom. I'm ruining the sanctity of our results there, but he said boom. So that was an interesting trend. I don't know if they would have
I did not have the same thing. I had one person just say that they wanted to just have 6 seconds of silence before and after everything they said.
Okay.
So they would just be like, you would ask them a question, they would just go. Yeah, that sounds good. And then they would just more silence.
That would allow the other person to talk over you, which would actually be, it'd be really convenient. One interesting one that I got was shalom. Say shalom before or after every state. It has multiple meanings, so I guess that would work out, but that was an interesting one. Another, thank you, I'm here all week. That was probably one of the longest ones I got. But, if you're gonna say jokes for 100% of your existence.
Yeah, that's true. You gotta keep it like that.
Just mine, personally, I was toying with, should it please your grace? And my reason for that is you'd address the person, be a little cheeky, but you could also say it before or after the sentence.
That's true. That's true.
Should it please your grace?
Well, we will be right back with what color would you want your skin?
If it was non-existent skin color.
Yeah. And we're back with Q&A. Yeah. And we're going over what color would you want your skin to be if it couldn't be a current skin color?
Yes. For humans.
Yes, for humans. We're not like saying you couldn't be a Martian or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like little green Martians. Really.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
What were the trends you saw?
Trend I saw. This question maybe. As much as a lot of the other weird questions we ask, really opened itself up to have strange outlier answers. But the one trend I saw overwhelmingly is everyone that could be grouped was in the cool colors. There was a lot of purple, especially light purple, a lot of blue, all shades, and then some green. But I didn't get anybody saying red or orange or any of that.
Yeah, I had a very similar time of it. Most people, if they picked a very normal color, would pick a cooler color, and especially like a paler color.
Yeah.
They didn't want a color that would like be harsh on the eyes, things like that.
Yeah, I mean, you'd really have to change your wardrobe.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
One thing I did see, one person said they wanted a blue, so I mean, well within the trend, but they specified that they wanted it to sort of shift with their mood.
Okay.
So they would sort of have light versus dark, sort of a shifting blue. But what I also thought was interesting is they specifically stated it as avatar blue. So I'm wondering if,
like the movie?
Yeah, media, a lot of the sort of alien skin tone, you get like the blues than the greens, and I'm wondering if that influenced what people were thinking about for that.
And then the other group I think that I saw, besides the like cool color, like pale colors, was the extremely outlier, like the just crazy out there, like the metallic colors, translucents, things like that.
Some patterns, which aren't technically colors, but one person wanted a star pattern skin, while another person wanted camo for going through the forest. I'm not sure how frequently they go through the forest now, but I guess if they had camo skin, they would go through the forest more frequently.
I mean, I would, personally. I know I would.
Just spend all your time in the forest. I mean, so there were a number of outliers there.
I mean, personally, I think I'd put myself either in like the light blue skin color or like translucent, just because that would be pretty cool.
See, I was in the outliers. I said chrome silver.
Ooh.
Just, shiny, mirrored.
Like, yeah, like a mirror?
I'd be like Cloudgate 9. I'd be the beam. I could go bald and just reflect back at tourists,
That'd be pretty great. That would.
Pretty fun.
It really would. Well, after this, we will be back with our final question. If you could take a picture of anything and it would be famous, what would you take a picture of? And we're back with our final question on Q&A. This question is, if you could take a picture of anything and it would become famous, what would you take a picture of?
Just outliers. No trends that I could find.
Yeah.
Okay. A lot of people want to take pictures of themselves.
Oh, definitely.
But there was such wide variety within that of what they wanted. One person said, me in space. So they would be in space. I mean, that implies that they've gone to space. That would. Another person said, my feet. They just want their feet to be famous.
Like they just really want to be a foot model then.
Maybe. Another person said, all my chins. When you do the thing where you go all the chins and do that thing. So they want them to do that and then take a picture of it. Another person wanted a picture of them, their dog, a field of sunflowers, and a sky full of stars, which is pretty ambitious.
That is. I had a person that wanted to be like do one of those poses like the famous paintings like the generals on like their horse with their sword out. Yeah. I had one of those. I had like a face. Just their face, like professional, like shot for like actors and things.
Yeah. One person said, "I want it to be of my how you doing face," so that the whole world would see that person visually asking them, "How you doing?"
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was an interesting one.
I had a couple of people do like nature pictures. Like that, because they were like thinking, I guess, on the idea of like National Geographic and the pictures they take for those things. And I thought that was kind of interesting.
My mother said, typical mom answer. She just said, a close-up picture of a branch. I don't know why you'd want that branch to become world famous, Mom. Maybe it's a really important branch to you, but I thought that was an interesting one.
Yeah. I had a person that said a picture of a unicorn.
Unicorn? Okay. Because you'd have to have unicorns.
You'd have to have a unicorn that like assumes you have a unicorn to begin with.
That same rationale was used by somebody I got who said they wanted a picture of all of their favorite musicians just in a group together because it would have had to happen and the person would have had to be there. So, I mean, they were sort of logicking through it.
It's a great way to think about a question. It's not quite the answer we were going for, but it's a great way to kind of
That's a good way to codify it.
Get your
And then finally,
yeah.
the last grouping I got was some with messages. You know, they really wanted to actually, the few people who actually wanted something to be world famous.
Yeah.
And so they answered that question. And the first one was somebody wanted to take a picture of Bernie Sanders, make Bernie Sanders world famous. I mean, depending on your standards of fame, he already is world.
Yeah, I mean,
he's a public figure.
But I see what they're going with that. Yeah.
Recognition, I mean, very important. And then another person said they wanted to take a picture of the info for this year's spring musical, The Addams Family, so that the world would see the info and it would, quote, become the next Hamilton. So,
I mean,
there was
whatever
that
works, right? Well, it looks like that's all the time we have for today. So thank you for joining us on Q&A.
It's been a pleasure.